It is official that the pound-for-pound king, Terence "Bud" Crawford, has agreed in principle to face off against the 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar, first ballot Hall of Famer, Saul Canelo Alvarez. So Canelo Alvarez has agreed. Terence Crawford, we knew he was going to agree. And they're working out the details to showcase their talents. Riyadh season, Cinco de Mayo weekend in May.
Hate me, but I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Hell of a fight.
Hate me, but I think it's a 50-50 fight. It's really, really hard for me to see Canelo losing to Crawford. But it's also, there's things that I can see that Crawford is so good at.
Yeah.
That it's like, I can't see him not being able to be sharp and do that round after round, man. I don't know.
The potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is a true clash of skill and strength. But the big question remains, can Crawford overcome the challenge of moving up in weight? Sergio Mora believes Crawford's elite, well-rounded skill set could allow him to defy the odds, even against a naturally bigger opponent like Canelo. However, the concern still lingers. Will the weight difference prove too much for the smaller, welterweight-based champion stepping into a higher division?
Anything can happen in boxing, you know what I'm saying? And Terence Crawford is a legend. He's great. He's a great fighter. The only thing I see that I favor Canelo is that, you know, his weight.
Yeah.
And that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better, you know what I'm saying? But you know, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, you can't.
The potential showdown between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is a true clash of skill and strength. But the big question remains, can Crawford overcome the challenge of moving up in weight? Sergio Mora believes Crawford's elite, well-rounded skill set could allow him to defy the odds, even against a naturally bigger opponent like Canelo. However, the concern still lingers. Will the weight difference prove too much for the smaller, welterweight-based champion stepping into a higher division?
The only thing he could possibly do at this point to regain that status is to beat someone of note in another weight class. And
Derek James, often referenced in discussions around elite fighters' preparation, has echoed similar concerns, and voices like trainer John David Jackson and others in the boxing world have raised doubts about such a jump. In this context, Andre Rogie has acknowledged that Terence Crawford moving up to around 150 pounds could be realistic, but he questions the success of going even further to face Canelo Alvarez, describing it as a dangerous leap.
54 is going to be enough for him. Him going up to fighting, quote unquote, if it should happen, Canelo, I don't see that ending well. It's just too much and too far to go. But that's what it would take.
Andre Rogie's warning highlights the monumental challenge Terence Crawford would face against Canelo Alvarez, especially given the significant weight difference between them. What do you think? Would Crawford be taking on too much, or could he shock the world once again? Canelo Alvarez has shared his thoughts on a potential showdown with Terence Crawford, adding even more excitement and anticipation among boxing fans worldwide.
Yes, it is official that the pound-for-pound king, 4-division world champion, 2-division undisputed world champion, and reigning WBA junior middleweight world champion superstar boxer, Terence "Bud" Crawford, future first ballot Hall of Famer, undefeated, 41 wins, no loss, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout, 37 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach, has agreed in principle. We knew he was going to agree to face off against the 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar, first ballot Hall of Famer, former undisputed super middleweight world champion, and reigning unified super middleweight world champion, Saul Canelo
Alvarez has, in a way, signaled his readiness to face Terence Crawford, sparking major buzz around what could become one of the most anticipated matchups in modern boxing. This potential showdown would bring together two elite fighters at the very peak of their careers, making it a true high-stakes clash that fans across the world are eager to see.
Crawford's name keeps coming up, and I know he's a lot smaller than you. Is that a fight that you would ever consider under any circumstance?
I always say if it's a fight.
The potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford promises to be monumental. Canelo, the undisputed super middleweight champion, has dominated his division with power and precision, while Crawford, widely regarded as one of the most skilled fighters of this era, brings exceptional technical brilliance, ring IQ, and strategic versatility that have kept him at the top of the pound-for-pound rankings.
I see he wants to fight. He's made it clear. Do fights like that help your legacy, or do you feel like that's something that's not worth it to you?
Everything in my career, every fight make my legacy different and better. No, Terence Crawford is a great fighter. He's a good fighter.
Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight champion, hasn't shied away from the possibility of facing Terence Crawford. While Crawford's move up in weight has sparked debate, Canelo remains confident in his ability to handle the challenge. Speaking publicly, he made it clear that is not only open to the fight, but also sees it as an opportunity to make a strong statement against an elite opponent moving up in weight.
Be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford.
Fine.
Yeah.
If he's willing to pay whatever I want, comes down.
That'll work. Yeah, so if yeah, you're in. So if the numbers were right with Crawford, you'll do it.
Why not? Why not? I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight. For me, easy money.
Canelo Alvarez's remarks reflect his belief that the weight difference gives him a clear advantage over Terence Crawford. With a proven track record of dominating elite opponents at super middleweight, Canelo appears to view the potential matchup as both a strong financial opportunity and a fight he can control. However, for fans and analysts, Crawford's skill set, determination, and ring intelligence add a layer of unpredictability that could make the contest far more competitive than expected. Canelo has also acknowledged the challenge of facing such a technically gifted opponent, noting that Crawford's style presents unique difficulties. Despite that, the champion made it clear that the fight is possible under the right conditions, particularly if the financial stakes are significant enough to make it happen.
Because I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he move a lot and the fight is not that great. I saw Crawford the last fight and he don't move that much now. So
Canelo Alvarez comments highlight the complexities of making a potential fight with Terence Crawford a reality. While he acknowledges Crawford's talent, Canelo remains confident in the natural advantages that come with competing in a higher weight class at the same time. His remarks about financial incentives and stylistic factors suggest the matchup could be driven as much by spectacle and business value as by pure competitive intrigue. This adds to the ongoing debate whether Crawford's elite skill can overcome the weight disadvantage, or whether Canelo's view of weight divisions will ultimately prove decisive. It also reflects a noticeable shift in Canelo's stance, as he previously expressed hesitation about facing Crawford, partly due to concerns that defeating a smaller opponent might not bring him significant credit.
Everybody wants to fight me. Everybody calling me out and everything. And like I say, I have nothing to win with Crawford. 2-3 ways class.
Respect Crawford. He's a great fighter, and I always say that. No disrespect him, but sometimes it's a little crazy that people talking about a small fighter like Charlo. He's big, which he is big, and everybody's talking about if I'm gonna face Crawford, fighter 147, who is smaller than Charlo. So no make sense when you guys say that right now. At the end of the day, I don't want to have credit to face Crawford, but you never know. You never know in boxing. I'll go up and down and fight everybody out there. So it's possible. Why not? it's possible.
And I can't go down anymore. But you know, like he say, you know, when they ask him for the Germonta fight, they don't wanna get credit for that fight. It's the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everybody's gonna say it's too small, it's too small, it's too small, and then, you know, he needs to enjoy.
Meanwhile, Terence Crawford has continued to show strong persistence in pursuing the matchup, expressing his willingness to move up in weight classes to test himself against top-level opposition and prove his dominance across divisions.
Canelo gets through Jamel, and then you guys fight. That fight would be gigantic.
And it's crazy because, like, in the past interviews, I was like, man, Canelo too big, man. It's weight classes for a reason. I was like, nah. But in my mind, in my heart, I don't think nobody too big, you know, especially in a fight. I'm a fighter. But like, I was thinking like, man, it could happen. So you start really sitting down like, man, that fight maybe can happen. Okay, so now you...
Terence Crawford is fully aware of the physical disadvantage he would face against Canelo Alvarez, acknowledging that size would play a crucial role in the matchup. However, he remains confident in his ability to overcome that challenge and impose his own boxing style, relying on skill, timing, and adaptability to compete at the highest level.
But I'm faster, you know, so then you start doing the advantages, you know what I mean? But like, man, we right there.
Yeah.
We right there, you know what I mean? So I was like, man.
And it's not like he didn't go up in weight as well.
Keith Thurman, a former world champion and current boxing analyst, recently broke down why Terence Crawford might see openings in Canelo Alvarez style. Referring to Canelo's performance against Jermell Charlo, Thurman pointed out moments in the fight that could potentially encourage Crawford's belief in his chances. His analysis suggests that Crawford's fight IQ and strategic approach may allow him to detect patterns or tendencies that others might overlook, adding another layer of intrigue to the potential matchup.
When Canelo fought Charlo, besides the knockdown, Charlo was able to protect himself very well against Canelo's onslaught. The only problem was, while protecting himself, there was no offense.
Keith Thurman, a former world champion and current boxing analyst, recently broke down why Terence Crawford might see openings in Canelo Alvarez style. Referring to Canelo's performance against Jermell Charlo, Thurman pointed out moments in the fight that could potentially encourage Crawford's belief in his chances. His analysis suggests that Crawford's fight IQ and strategic approach may allow him to detect patterns or tendencies that others might overlook, adding another layer of intrigue to the potential matchup.
Seeing what I saw, I believe Crawford saw the same thing. If Charlo can go so untouched by just being, you know, once he got dropped, he, you know, spider senses, boom, fully awakened, right? Boom. So now hands up, don't make no mistakes. So, you know, that's how it is. We saw it in the Munguia fight. You know, we saw it in the last fight. It's those little mistakes that end up having big consequences against.
Keith Thurman emphasized that in the fight involving Jermell Charlo, defensive adjustments helped reduce damage after a knockdown, but the lack of consistent counterattacks allowed Canelo Alvarez to maintain control and dominance. That he suggested that Terence Crawford, known for his adaptability and offensive creativity, could view those moments as opportunities to exploit, potentially blending sharp defense with calculated aggression to challenge Canelo's rhythm.
Trash. Don't ever compare Crawford to Canelo again. Shout out young Triple G. He did his I felt he won. At least a draw. The judges. You weirdos. You guys suck ass. And Crawford, you're not pound for pound. Suck it. You never fought nobody good. You fought Spence that had a car accident. You.
Stephen A. Smith recently shared his analysis of a potential mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Known for his outspoken style, he broke down the matchup as a clash between Crawford's superior boxing IQ and Canelo's power and physical strength. While acknowledging the greatness of both fighters, Smith emphasized that key factors such as size, timing, and adaptability would ultimately determine how the fight plays out.
It could be trouble, but I would still say it would be a very interesting fight. I just believe that Crawford hasn't been in the ring with anybody this powerful. And I'm wondering whether he could stay away. Again, Crawford is the superior boxer. But if he can't hurt Canelo, you can't keep him off of him. And that's where the problem lies.
What do you think a win like that would do for Crawford? Would that put him
I think it was
Mayweather?
He and I spoke about it. He and I spoke about it in Vegas.
Stephen A. Smith's analysis highlights the key balance between skill and strength in a potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He suggests that Crawford's technical ability could create problems for Canelo, but raises questions about whether he could handle the power and physical pressure at higher weight levels. Smith also broke down Canelo's aggressive, pressure-based approach, noting that if Crawford gets caught cleanly, the consequences could be significant due to Canelo's proven punching power and relentless style.
Who can get exposed by a boxer because every shot he throws, he's trying to make it a power shot. But to me, can Crawford hurt him? I would pick Crawford to win if he can box and stay away. I don't believe he can hurt Canelo. And if Canelo catches him, it could be trouble. But I would still say it would be a very interesting fight. I just believe that Crawford hasn't been in the ring with anybody this powerful. And
Stephen A. Smith's prediction highlights how razor-thin the margins would be in a potential fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. He suggests that Crawford's technical mastery could expose weaknesses in Canelo's reliance on power, while Canelo's physical strength and knockout threat could neutralize Crawford's finesse if he lands clean shots. Overall, Smith's comments emphasize how high the stakes are in such a matchup, where every exchange could be decisive. The combination of speed, power, skill, and experience from both fighters has captured the imagination of boxing fans and analysts alike, making the hypothetical bout one of the most talked about in the sport. Meanwhile, welterweight contender Alexis Rocha, who has reportedly shared sparring rounds with both fighters, has also offered a unique perspective. Having experienced their styles firsthand, he acknowledges the physical differences between them while still recognizing the elite skill level each brings into the ring.
I mean, Terence Crawford, yes, there is weight classes for a reason. Canelo is a lot bigger. Crawford has that. He also has a good size swim where he has that good size and he has that reach and he has that boxing IQ. That's the most important thing when it comes to a boxing game is the IQ. You know, I think Crawford will hold his own very good in that fight. But I will lean a little bit more towards Canelo given the fact that he's more experienced and he's been in there with bigger guys.
Rocha's analysis aligns with a common narrative surrounding a potential fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. He suggests that Canelo's size, strength, and experience at higher weight classes could present significant challenges for Crawford. Even with Crawford's superior boxing IQ and adaptability, according to Rocha, Canelo's combination of physicality and ring knowledge gives him a natural edge, adding another layer to the ongoing debate about whether Crawford's skill alone can overcome the limits of weight divisions in boxing. Meanwhile, Canelo has not yet confirmed his next opponent for potential 2025 fight, but discussions around a matchup with Crawford continue to grow. Terence Crawford has openly expressed interest in the fight and has even called out Canelo, although he is still waiting for a formal response.
You serious about fighting Canelo Alvarez?
Of course.
I know you're serious, but I've got to ask you for the people that are watching.
Of course.
Are you confident that that fight is a fight that you can win?
Well, I'm always confident that I can win any fight that I step foot in the ring. You know, Canelo is a big, strong competitor. He's a great fighter. He's a future Hall of Famer. And that's what we in the game for, is to leave a legacy that will last, surpass our life.
Canelo Alvarez's potential opponent list reportedly includes Terence Crawford, with some media outlets suggesting Crawford could be one of the leading candidates for Canelo's return in May, possibly at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Although no official date has been confirmed. Meanwhile, former welterweight champion Shawn Porter, who has shared the ring with Crawford, has expressed concern about this matchup. While he respects Crawford's elite boxing skills and ring IQ, he worries that the significant size and power advantage of Canelo could present serious risks in a potential fight between the two champions.
Two more weight classes. Like once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, you know, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later. And he's still got that kind of steam. But, you know, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another. You know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out.
Porter's warning highlights the major physical challenge Terence Crawford would face against Canelo Alvarez, who has shown significant power at higher weight divisions. While Crawford's technical ability and adaptability are widely respected, Porter's concerns underline the natural risks of moving up in weight to face a much larger and stronger opponent. This adds further fuel to the ongoing debate, whether Crawford's elite skill set can overcome the size disadvantage, or whether the odds would be too heavily stacked against him. In addition, trainer Robert Garcia has hinted at the possibility of the matchup, with reports suggesting Crawford is on Canelo's shortlist for a potential Cinco de Mayo fight. Although nothing has been officially confirmed, speculation continues to grow, with discussions even linking promoter Turki Alalshik to potentially bringing the fight to Las Vegas. As a result, talks of a possible May 2025 showdown between Canelo and Crawford are gaining momentum across the boxing world.
We'll get Terence Crawford. I think Crawford is looking at, just the huge fight with Canelo, and if he doesn't get it, he might not even fight anymore, because he's told me that before. But there's so many other fights out there too. We'll just take it fight by fight with
Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford continues to generate discussion, with some reports suggesting the fight date could shift, possibly moving to June instead of the traditionally preferred May window. While nothing has been officially confirmed, May is often targeted for major boxing events in the US due to strong pay-per-view interest around Mexican independence-related fight weekends. At the same time, it's also noted that Crawford is not the only possible option for Canelo's next title defense at super middleweight. Christian Billy is currently positioned as a leading contender in the WBC rankings, although he has not yet been officially named a mandatory challenger by the governing bodies or promotional teams.